A lot of people are excited to get out and find their first wild clay, but when they get it home, they find out that the clay they found is lacking in plasticity. It's not very plastic. That means you can't mold it into different shapes without it wanting to crack and come apart. So today I'm going to explore different methods that people use to add plasticity to clay to make it more usable for making pottery. So I'm out in the field today looking for low quality clay, which is harder than you might think. I mean, I'm out here all the time looking for good clay. And it's not that Southern Arizona doesn't have an abundance of terrible clay. It actually does. It's just that when I find a good clay, I make note of it. I make sure I remember where that spot is, or I write it down. But when I find a bad clay, I quickly forget it. I don't want anything to do with it, so I don't bother taking notes. And so when this project came along and I thought, well, what bad clay am I going to use for this? I couldn't think of any because I have all these good clays saved. I don't have any bad clays saved either in my memory or on paper. So I'm out here looking. I'm doing a little exploring. It shouldn't be too hard though, because as I said, there are a lot more bad clays around than there are good clays. This stuff is definitely lacking plasticity. This red stuff is definitely more plastic than the browner stuff I tried earlier. It may not be the best clay around, but it's doing all right with plasticity, so not too bad. Okay, back in the studio, and I'm ready to start doing some experiments to see if I can improve the plasticity of this clay. The brown clay is my short clay, that clay that is lacking in plasticity that I'm going to try to improve. The red clay, as we saw, already had a fair amount of plasticity, but it does have an important role, so I'm going to set that aside. So the brown clay will be divided into 4 equal pieces, and those will be used in different ways. The first bit will be my control. I will keep that as it is, so as I improve these other pieces, I can compare them back to the original and see if they've actually improved. The second piece is going to be improved with rice water, something that you may have seen on the internet. I don't have a lot of faith in, but we're going to do it in order to compare and see just how much difference it really does make. The third bit will have some more plastic clay added to it. That more plastic clay will be the red clay. So I'll add a little bit of red to it and see how that improves the plasticity. And the fourth piece will be levigated to remove a lot of that sand and silt that's in the way of it being more plastic. So we will purify that piece and see how that improves the plasticity. Let's get started. And then we could probably take a little away from the third one because it's going to have some added to it. So let's take about a third away from that one and add it to some of these others. I think that's pretty good. Close enough. So to start with, I'm just going to mix up the unmodified material. So this is my control. This is just the material that I dug out of the ground, ground up and wet. And I'm going to let that sit in the plastic bag overnight, just like the others, so they can get more plastic by sitting. Now I'm grinding up some of that red clay, and I'll add, like I said, about a third red clay to that brown clay. And then, of course, wet that and mix that up as well. Put it in a plastic bag, let it sit overnight. Now we're going to get into levigation. Levigation is a little more complicated. So I take that amount of clay, I get it all wet. I mix it up with my hand, I let it sit for just a minute, then I pour off that suspended clay, the clay particles that are suspended in water. Then I add some more water, mix it up, pour off some more of those clay particles. This is going to get repeated a lot. So I'm adding a little more water and get my hand in there again, mix it up, and then again pouring off those clay particles that are suspended in the water, letting those larger particles like the silt and the sand fall to the bottom of the container. And so you repeat this a number of times until your container is full. Now I have to let it sit for a while, and that will give it time for those clay particles to start to settle out in that settling container. So now I'm back, it's like an hour later, and you can see as I pour, I'm pouring off relatively clear water. This is mostly water, very little clay left in it. Most of the clay has settled out. Now the container I'm pouring from is pretty full, so I'm going to just use this other container just as a place to store water for the time being. I have to leave enough room in that first container that I can get my hand in there without overflowing. Okay, now stir it up again, same process. Stir it up, let it sit for just a minute, then pour off that clay that's suspended in water. Then I can add some more water to that container. I can stir it again, mix it up, and then pour off that suspended clay. And then once that container is full again, the container I'm pouring into, I have to let it sit for like a half hour to an hour for those clay particles to settle. And so here I am coming back at a later time to pour off again what is pretty much clear water, as you can see here. And so I go to stir this up, but I realize quickly that there's really nothing. It's mostly sand and silt. I can feel in there that it has very little to no clay in it. So at this point, I'm just going to stop. So here's the material I've separated, the good clay material. And so I'm going to pour it into this earthenware container because it's porous and I want to lose some of that water. I need to lose a lot of water before I can use this as clay. So I'm going to put it in the earthenware container and then I'm going to set it outside in the sun so it can dry. In the meantime, I've been cooking rice on my stove. Not because I'm hungry, but because I want that starch water for mixing up my clay. So now I need to strain out the water from the rice. And then I'm going to mix up that clay just like I have the other clays. Except instead of regular water, I'm using this starch water, which is supposed to make the clay a little more plastic. We will find out. And that's it. 4 different clays mixed up 4 different ways. I'm going to let these sit overnight, and tomorrow morning we'll figure out which one of these methods makes for the most plastic clay. Okay, this clay has been sitting overnight. Let's take a look at the results. First of all, I want to say this is really terrible clay. I'm not even kidding. If you found clay like this, I would not recommend you go through any of these processes to try to improve it. I would recommend you found something better. But I think because it's so terrible, it's going to make a good test, because we're going to be able to notice any improvements in it. So I've got 3 different ways I've improved this clay. I've added rice water to it, I've mixed in some of that red clay, and I've levigated some. And of course I've got my original as my control. So let's compare these and see how we did. Okay, so I learned this little trick watching my friend Wes over on Airstream Wandering's channel. He was doing something similar, and he was, instead of rolling them around, this stuff is so terrible. Instead of rolling them around his finger, he was kind of laying them out on a board, on a work surface, which I think makes more sense. Wow, this is so bad I can barely roll a coil. This is the rice material. So they talk about plasticity in working clay, but there's another property of clay that I don't hear talked about that I call cohesiveness, and that is the ability of the clay to stick to itself, to hold together. Not so much the cracking, which would imply the plasticity, but just not wanting to stick to itself. Now, this stuff has a lot of crud in it. I know it does because when I levigated it, I took out probably over 50% of the volume. So there's your problem right there. But at any rate, so here's a coil of the material that was improved with rice water. And we will bend it this way, and we can see it already cracked there, and it's starting to crack over here. So this is the rice material. Okay, let's put that to the side, and we're going to look at the one where I added the red clay. So it was significantly less than 50%. It was maybe a third at the most, but probably closer to a quarter. There was a different clay added to it, a clay that had more plasticity. And that other clay was not improved at all, if you remember right. That was straight out of the ground. So, but it did have more plasticity, so should make a difference. And we can roll that, and we can see it's wanting to crack, but not quite as bad as the rice water material. So I'm gonna put that aside a little bit too. And then let me show you the material that was levigated. So when I was done levigating it, I ended up with a lot less. Now remember, they were roughly divided into equal amounts, but this is the original, this is what I got. So I would say less than 50%, which tells me that more than 50% of this material is sand and silt. And that's really the problem. And you can see, if you look at this little ball of clay, it's pretty plastic. It made a huge difference just taking out that sand and silt, which, you know, is obvious. That is the problem with it. So let me just roll out a coil, and it's much more easy to roll into a coil as well, I should let you know. Now the problem with this, even if I decided that this stuff that was purified, that was levigated, was really good clay and I wanted to use it, you got to understand that you've got to dig over twice as much as you want just to get the material you want, because over half of it is getting thrown away in the levigation process. So really not the best material. But I can bend that and it is not cracking. I don't see a single crack, and I've bent it further than these other two. So that's good. Maybe not such a bad clay, but on the other hand, like I said, you are losing over half of it in the purification process. Okay, and finally, let's look at the original material. Now this has nothing added to it to make it more plastic. This is just straight out of the ground up, and it doesn't want to stick together to make a coil, much like the rice water material, worse than the rice water material, but you know, I did have a coil when I worked with it out in the field. You saw that, so I know I can get one. I might have to add a little more water to this. I'm gonna try getting this a little bit wet, see if that makes it better. Sometimes it does. And that's another thing that affects the plasticity, the wetness. And some clays you need to work a little wetter and others a little drier, and that's gonna vary based on the clay and its particular properties. Okay, I was gonna say, it's rolling into a coil now, and then it just kind of smushed. So let me try again. It's just really fragile. It's so sandy. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to create some kind of basic coil. Just getting it as thin as these others for a fair comparison is the problem. There we go. That's good enough. Now let's bend it, and we can see it's cracking in a couple of different places here. So here's where we're at on this. Rice water, adding a better clay, levigation, no improvement whatsoever. So if I was going to rate these methods, I would say the most effective method of making clay more plastic is levigation, is purifying some of that silt and sand out of it. The second most effective way of making clay more plastic is adding a more plastic clay to it. And as we saw, it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to even be 50%. Just a little bit can go a long ways, depending on the clay. And the stuff I added wasn't really the most plastic clay either. It was a wild clay that had its own sand and silt problems to deal with, but it did make a difference. So if you add like pure bentonite to clay, that's gonna make a much bigger difference with a lot smaller volume. And then third is that rice water. It's marginally effective. If you have a clay that just needs a little help in the plasticity department, that's gonna do the trick. But if you have a terrible clay, that rice water is not gonna make it really a usable clay. The clay's gotta meet you about 75% of the way on that. And I think overall this is a good lesson, because if you've got a terrible clay, a clay that is lacking in plasticity, you can try cleaning it up. You can try removing some of that sand and silt from it using levigation. But if it still has problems, you're really better off finding a new clay, because these other methods are just marginally effective. Keep in mind, plasticity isn't the only problem a clay can have. That's just one of the biggest ones. You can also have problems with shrinkage, drying cracks. You can have problems with the wet strength of the clay. There's all sorts of problems a clay can have. And I made this video a while back that deals with some of those. So if you're interested in figuring out how to improve clay that has problems other than plasticity, check this video out right over here. I appreciate you watching today. I'll catch you next time.